Get started. Yeah, 10 for 5.
Right. Otherwise, I only get 450 and change.
Okay, everyone. I think I lost. There we go. We got the mic. Okay, good evening. Thank you all for coming. Everybody should have a handout, and I'll go over just a couple of things. Our handout is front and back today because I was long-winded. First of all, and the most important thing is that we've changed the meetings. The meetings are now held once a month, the last Friday, or the last Monday of the month, the regular time, 6:30 buffet, that's free, as well as the meeting and presentation at 7 o'clock, questions and answers thereafter. We have it all wrapped up by 8 o'clock. Follow us on Facebook. The bottom of the page, you'll see our Facebook address. Very important, I put stuff on there a couple of times a week. I announce the speakers and send out reminders. I also send out an email. So if you haven't gotten an email and you want to get an email from us, give me your email address after the meeting, and you'll get a reminder from us just prior to the next meeting. But it's once a month. Now, one thing I want to talk about that's not on the handout, and that's the status of our hydroponic garden. In front of the truck that's parked out here, the white truck on the fence, we put up a large banner. The garden's going to go over in that section abutting the fence on Queen Street. So we've almost got it wrapped up. It's been dragging, I know. But I should have the final details wrapped up by next week, and then we're going to get started. We're going to accumulate the stuff and get started building this thing. So we'll need some help. We'll keep you informed, but check us out for the status of that as well on Facebook. Now, I've included some little things about the mission here that I want to talk to you about. And some of you may have heard about this before, but it's a section about 2/3 of the way down the page that says about the mission. The mission's been around for 25 years. It provides a variety of services, but probably one of the biggest things it does is provide food boxes to marginal families. Last year, the mission provided food to the value of $3,721,000 and change. So it's a pretty big operation. It serviced 17,246 families, and it's also provided 121,752 hot meals to others that they cater. Additionally, they've given out cash assistance of $54,000 and some change. So it's a pretty nice operation. If you flip to the back, this whole thing is now in its second year here at the mission, and it's been sponsored by a grant from Darden Corporation. Darden Corporation owns a variety of restaurants. I'm not going to read them. They're right there on the back for you to take a look at. This is the second year that they provided a grant that helps us get this started. So having said that, we have a presentation this evening on aquaponics. Before we get to that, I have Jan Tracy, who is from the county, from the recycling department. She'll tell you more about that. She's going to talk for about 5 minutes. She also has a variety of handouts and books and stuff set up at the front. Takes a look at this. They're on the way out. And here's Jan.
Mike, huh?
Take a look.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me tonight. Is it coming through? It is. All right. Let's see if this.
Stick in your pocket.
There. Oh, okay. All right. Is it coming? Hello? Yeah. I guess it's coming through. Okay. Okay. We have a recycling directory that the county publishes every year. It's put out distributed in the newspapers on the Martin Luther King's Day weekend. And it tells about what the different cities in Pinellas County do about recycling, and I'm happy to dream that it will be outdated for the city of St. Pete as soon as they get their universal recycling program going. But it does say there are actually 25 different recycling programs in Pinellas County because every municipality has its own. Plus there's a county or unincorporated program of drop-off centers where if you don't have recycling at your home, you can go to a drop-off center, and they're listed in here. I also brought some, and actually about recycling, a lot of our areas are now collecting at single stream, which is what they're going to do in St. Pete too, which means everything into the same bin, and when most of that goes over to Tampa, although there is a processing facility in St. Petersburg, one of the companies does it here, and it all goes up on a conveyor belt together and gets separated at the recycling center. So it makes it better for customers. They found out that when the people can recycle single stream altogether, they actually recycle more, and that's great. A lot of places are now taking glass and cartons, like milk cartons, soup cartons, wine box cartons. Those are now new in most of the recycling programs, and all colored glass. A lot of places are taking those now, which they didn't a couple years ago. The county also has, and so I have lots of these books there. Feel free to take some for your neighbors if you like. We have lots. The county, Pinellas County, also collects hazardous waste, which are your old electronics and your old chemicals. Electronics, if they have a circuit board, a rechargeable battery, or digital numbers on it, it's considered hazardous. So TVs, cell phones, old DVD players, the old VHS players, all of that. Chemicals and paint, fluorescent lights, all those have to be collected separately. And I have a handout that really, that you'll be surprised at all the different things that are considered electronic waste and chemical waste. And you'll find that you have more of that in your house than you think you do. And that can be taken to our household collection center, which is near the waste energy plant off of 28th Street North. Or we do mobile collections around town, and this weekend on Saturday, we will be at the Home Depot in St. Pete. Actually, I'm guessing right near here. It's on 22nd Avenue North near 275, so I think that's the Tyrone area. And we'll be there from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And if you show up at 2:05, forget it. We will be shut down. If you're in line at 2 o'clock, we'll take you, but it does shut down at 2. So it's open 9 to 2. Household, if it was used in your house, it's free. If it's business, there's a charge. And then the last thing I have, and I have a little more information there, but I'm only talking for a couple minutes, but back there you might find something else that interests you. We also have an online guide to disposal called the A to Z guide, where you go onto the website, and there's 350 items to pick from cell phones to paper to styrofoam, which is not easily to recycle in Pinellas County. Pretty much with the peanuts for recycle, the styrofoam peanuts that you get in packages, take them to a packaging store and they'll reuse them, or the styrofoam trays and egg cartons go back to Publix. Otherwise, unless you're a big business, there really aren't many options. But we have 350 options in here that will give you ideas of where to donate, where to reduce, how to reduce, reuse, recycle, and how to recycle it properly. So I'll be around after the meeting too to answer questions, and I appreciate your having me here tonight.
Okay. There, the volume's back. All right, what to do is, if you have a cell phone, since we're recording this, I'd appreciate it if you shut your cell phone off, or at least silence your cell phone. There I go. And we're going to take questions at the end. Their presentation will be about 30 minutes long. We're talking about aquaponics this evening. This is Matthew and Alexandra.
Yeah. Well, hello everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Alexandra. We're very excited to be here. Thank you, Ginger and Charles, for inviting us here. We're so excited to be here. I wanted to tell you a little bit about us. We started off our business back in March of 2013, and we got into aquaponics, and we've been questions and answers after. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. But here's my husband, Matthew.
Hello. So a little bit about my background. I am a personal trainer. I'm also a manual therapist, and I've been teaching health and fitness for about 8 years now. So the reason why our business is called Aquaponics Cafe, but the reason why I started this business is to improve my overall health and the people around me that have the opportunity to get a chance to get a hold of this type of food. Now, when I teach aquaponics, I take it all the way down to what's happening in the water, which is also happening in the soil, which is the microorganism population. So I'm actually going to give you a little bit of information on how everything actually works and how plants get more nutritious, which will actually affect your health in the long run. And I'm also going to give you a couple health statistics on today, now, and in the past. So let me just make sure this is working.
Figuring out this system.
I hit that. Wait until the PowerPoint pulls up. Hang on a second.
Oh, there it goes.
No? All right, well, I'm going to go on until that gets done. But the learning objectives for this topic is all about aquaponics, but I'm also going to teach you the importance of the microorganism population and how it relates to the nutrition in your body. I'm also going to teach you how to understand how the aquaponics cycle works. I'm going to go through a history of aquaponics, and I'm also going to show you the advantages and disadvantages of the aquaponics cycle compared to other methods. You got it? Cool, where's the clicker?
There's our little.
Awesome. Okay. So I just went through the learning objectives. All right, now this picture here is actually the organic cycle. A lot of this should be taught in schools, but it's not. On the left is a triangle. That's actually the soil, which is the foundation of all nutrition. And when there's healthy soil, the microorganisms are what feed the plant's nutrition. So if the soil's healthy, the plants essentially will be healthy, and animals eat plants, and then man eats animals and plants. So if the soils are depleted, so will the nutrition in the food, and therefore if the animals eat depleted food, plants, you eat the animals and plants, and you will essentially be deficient in those vitamins and minerals that was deficient in the soil. So here's a statistic that's a little scary, but it's true. There's been billions upon billions in cancer research. We spend more money per capita than anyone in the world on cancer, and yet in 1990 the risk of cancer was 1 in 30. In 1980 it was 1 in 5. In 1990 it was 1 in 4. In 95 it was 1 in 3. And in the year 2000 it was 1 in every 2 people were going to have the risk of getting cancer. So that means half of the people in this room are likely to come up with cancer if something isn't done in today's world to stop this. Now, a gram of healthy soil will contain about 600 million microorganisms, which is about a half a thimble. This was said by a British farmer. He's a pretty famous farmer. He did studies back in World War II. Soil organisms are the unpaid labor force of the farm, working constantly to break down not only the organic matter present in the soil, but also complex minerals to making them available to plants. So in other words, what he's saying is the microorganisms are the absolute essential workforce that break down what you call soil or rock, liquefy them in their body, and make it bioavailable to plants to feed on, which is how nutrition happens from the ground up. So the functions of microorganisms. I want to get my screen up to date. Here we go. Okay. So they liquefy minerals, convert them into non-organic compounds. They also produce amino acids, organic acids, and organometallic acids. 40 to 80% of bacteria in a plant's rhizosphere produce vitamins. The rhizosphere is actually the sphere of the roots, is the rhizosphere. And every vitamin you can find in the rhizosphere is actually every vitamin you can find in the human body. And what's deficient in that rhizosphere would most likely be deficient in your own body. This is not working. There it goes. Okay. So when everything's balanced in the soil, you have a symbiotic relationship with the plants and with nutrition. Now the topsoil, by the year 1937, we have lost 61% of our topsoil. Now in a healthy area, the topsoil will be about a foot. Nowadays in the United States, especially in Florida, there's 1-2 inches of topsoil maybe. And it takes thousands of years to regenerate this stuff. Now on today's methods of farming, especially in the commercial side of it, we use fungicides, pesticides, herbicides, and rodenticides to get rid of pests. In the year In 1945, we sprayed 200,000 pounds of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and rodenticides. In the year 2000, we sprayed 2 billion pounds were sprayed on crops, and the losses have actually doubled. And actually, pesticides are the #1 cause of pollution in our waterways. So now I'm also going to show you the importance of earthworms, because I use earthworms in my aquaponics as well. I'm going to go through that in just a moment. But the benefits of having earthworms is they dig in the soil and they aerate the soil. They eat anything they can find in their path, and they also convert what they eat into, I quote it as caviar for plants, something highly nutritious for the plants. And the most common fertilizer used today right now is NPK fertilizer, which is a salt. And when you salt fields, it kills the worm population down. Also, pesticides. This we're going to get right through it here. There's a 21-year study done that comparing organic farming to non-organic farming. And in this study, the organic farming showed an 85% higher microorganism population in the fields compared to non-organic farmer, which means 85% of the plant's immune system is gone in commercially farmed fields. 85% of the plant's ability to extract proteins from soil is gone, and 85% of the vitamins, minerals, hormones that plants produce are gone, making them much more depleted. So now we'll go into aquaponics. Aquaponics is a food production system that combines an aqua ecosystem with a hydroponic system all in one. And when it's working correctly, when you have the right amount of plants with the right amount of fish, it'll all be working in a symbiotic system and everything will be perfectly balanced out. What I like about aquaponics is I don't have to add any fertilizer because the plants are fertilizing the plants for me. So that cuts costs down as far as I'm not buying fertilizer. And it's all organic. It's completely an organic cycle, not using any synthetic anything, which is man-made. So the fish produce waste, which spikes up ammonia. Now ammonia is where the bacteria, which is a microorganism, the same thing happens in the water. They're the ones that break the ammonia down to nitrates and nitrites, which is exactly the nutrition the plants eat. The plants clean this out, and in return, they provide cleaner water and oxygen back into the water. So when it's all balanced out, it's all working together pretty well. If there's If you have too many fish in your system compared to plants, you're going to have too much ammonia, and the plants can't filter out the water in time, and you're going to result in either most likely death in the fish. Or if you have too little fish compared to plants, the plants will be deficient because there's not enough of a bacteria production to break it down. Now this is what I use. I talked a lot about the microorganism population. I use biofilters in my systems. You don't have to use biofilters in aquaponics. I use them because that is where all the solids collect, and your bacteria will actually harvest and colonize in the biofilters. And you're going to produce a lot of good bacteria in your system. Now, these microorganisms feed plants nutrition. Without them, the plants are much less in nutrition. They're much more depleted. That's one of the biofilters I have created. I actually use, it's all recycled materials, but I use 5-gallon water jugs. And on top of the biofilter, the 5-gallon water jug is a swirl filter, so it's another form of filtration. Okay, now I'm going to get into the history of aquaponics. Aquaponics, as far back as I could find, was about 1000 AD. The Aztec Indians the Aztecs would use aquaponics. They would actually use floating beds on top of rivers to grow plants, which is the same concept as aquaponics. And they found that it grows food more effectively and efficiently. And here's a picture of the Aztec Indians in 1000 AD. Now, another nationality that use it is China. Here's a picture, the only picture I can find of it, but the Chinese use it to cultivate rice and fish. Yeah, that picture's pretty old. Whoop. Now, this is another artwork of King Tut showing an aquaponic farm. So there's some artwork relating to aquaponics way back. Now I'm going to go into some disadvantages of aquaponics. So there's always pluses and minuses about everything. I find there's more advantages on aquaponics just because of the lower. I find it's less to keep up. I don't have to maintain it as much as I would compared to soil or those kind of methods. But some disadvantages is it can generally be pretty expensive depending on the size of the system. I have built some very large systems, so I spent a pretty penny building them. You must have a source of power to run pumps. So I'm trying to get into solar to run pumps. The pumps are very low in wattage, so it doesn't cost a lot to run an aquaponic system. But you do need one pump to run, pretty much no matter what. When you build an aquaponic system, there's usually a pump that runs the system. But a solar panel would run it. So that's what I'm trying. That's my next project in my operation, is to try to run it on solar. But there will be per system one pump. And just in case it fails, you need someone that understands how to engineer a system to the point where if it does start leaking, there'll be a fail stop, so it'll stop and it won't drain out completely. It would just stop leaking at a certain point. Now we'll go into some advantages of aquaponics. There's a significant reduction of water usage. Once you fill these tanks up, that's pretty much the water you're going to use, unless you're going to get some evaporation from the tanks. That's when you need to top it off, but it's very low compared to traditional farming when they use soil, because you have to water those constantly. So once you fill up the tanks and it's running, that's it. Then it's running until the tanks get low from evaporation. And my bigger systems that I've built, I'm going to show you guys pictures of the systems I've engineered, but they're generally, it takes about 20 gallons a week or less to fill up, to maintain from the evaporation that happens. And it happens more so in the winter time than it does the summer, I find. So, but it's still very low compared to watering every day. The growth I find in aquaponics is actually quite significant. I've been growing, as you can see from one of my cabbages, that's still a young cabbage, but everything I've grown has been like colossal growth, and it's been growing pretty quickly. I've been getting about 4 to 5 times larger yields than if I was to farm in soil, for example. So the growth in aquaponics is pretty good. Another thing that you're going to have to do with aquaponics is to make it all be a successful system, you have to make sure the fish are living. So I use blue tilapia in my systems, and I sometimes forget to feed the fish. So I'll harvest what's called duckweed. Has anyone heard of duckweed? It's just a plant that covers, you'll see it in swamps a lot, but it's 40% protein and the fish like it. So I'll layer it in the systems, and if I have, it does breed and regenerate, so it'll right on top of the water, it'll start multiplying if the fish don't eat it all at the faster rate than it can regenerate. One of my tanks, I don't even have to feed them because it's layered completely on my tank. A couple others, the fish eat it at a much faster rate, so I have to constantly feed them. Another benefit is there's no weeding in aquaponics. Everything in aquaponics has been, you can pick up the plant straight from the system, and there's no weeding involved, which is pretty awesome. I'm a pretty simple guy. I like to, if I'm going to do something farming wise, I'm going to make sure it's the least amount of maintenance possible. So I tried to make something easy. And also you'll grow more in a smaller space depending on how you build your system. You can stack them closer together because they're not going to be fighting for nutrition. They're constantly in water, constantly in fertilizer. Okay, so here you see there's a couple, I have a picture of radishes that have grown, and you can see the radishes are quite humongous. That's pretty common in aquaponics, is you'll get pretty monster growth. And the tube system you see now, look at that picture now, because when I follow through the slides, I'm also going to show you a video. This was when I first started a few months back, and the growth was pretty small, and some of the plants were malnutritious, and because I just started the tank. It takes about 6 to 8 months of the water running with the fish in the system to get to the point where the water is established. Again, that's the microorganisms in the water. They have to establish, you have to build that bacteria up for the plants to be fully mature, healthy and nutritious. All right, let's see, how do I play that video? Hang on. Go click on that and see if it plays it. But I have a video on here that I really want to show you. It's my whole operation of Aquaponics Cafe's greenhouse. And it'll take you through all my systems. This was a few months back, and then I'm going to show you pictures of the growth. This was probably around June or July this video was taken, or around August. So just click on the greenhouse. Yeah, click that, and it should play. If it doesn't play, it's okay. I'll just move on to the... Okay, so the video can be found on YouTube. Just look my name up, Matt Clockel, and you'll find the greenhouse update. Then you can view the video and check it out. We'll play it after. All right. Clockel, C-L-O-C-K-E-L. All right, so you can see on the pictures above, that's the growth. I took those pictures today, so you can see the growth is pretty big. I have a lot of growth in my greenhouse right now. And at the top, you can see those are kale growing, and I have lots of kale, tomatoes, and collards, and all kinds of stuff. You got it? All right. And there's another picture of one of my systems I've engineered. The growth is just going crazy. I'm just kind of letting it go. I do have to go in there and maintain a couple times a week. But there is about 5 fish tanks up and running right now filled with blue tilapia. And one of these systems that I've built, the tube system, for example, it can hold 200 plants plus 300 full-grown tilapia. So that can feed a lot of people. And you can see at the top right, that's a Colombian coffee tree. And I pulled it right out of the system, and you can see the roots just hanging out because it's all soilless. And it's easy to transport, too, so I can pick a plant up and move it around or transport it into soil or whatever. So that's another big benefit to aquaponics. The picture on the bottom right, that's the new system that I just got running. I just pretty much put water in it, and I put my established water from my other tanks in it just to give it a head start. But that system consists of a 12-foot long bed. It also has a 4x4 bed, and then a biofilter and a fish tank. So when I build aquaponic systems, it has to have a fish tank, and it can just be fish tank and beds. But I add the biofilter again just because I do it on a little bit of a larger scale. It's not really necessary if you're using clay media or some kind of media, because that's actually where all the the bacteria build up in the plant and can act just like a biofilters in the plant beds. If you're doing like a floating raft method, then that's absolutely essential that you're going to have some kind of filtration system in your system. Now we'll move on to the tilapia, because you get 2 benefits with aquaponics. You get food and you get fish. You get produce and fish. That's one of the tilapias that came out of my tank. Pretty big. It was a couple of pounds. And these pictures are actually about a month old, and the growth there is still tremendous. One of my harvests, I did well over a full, pretty big cooler full of all kinds of stuff, and I've been pulling out many pounds of produce from these systems, and it all grows very quickly because it's just like hydroponics. It basically is hydroponics, but you're adding nutrients from the fish. It's more of an organic cycle.
Any questions?
What are the zoning laws, if any, for having a hydroponic garden?
It's a garden.
Yeah, I haven't ran into any problems with the city. I presented my ideas and what I've been doing with the city, with the zoning and regulations, and they've been all for it. They haven't been against me in any means. So
Yes.
that's what I did, yeah.
Even if you sell it?
When you sell it, it goes a little bit different because now you're making profits and you're going to be classified as a business.
At home, you can take donations. You can take donations if people want to come to your garden and take some food that live in the neighborhood. But you can always take your produce out and sell it elsewhere.
That's one of my goals. Is I really wanted to become a community garden. I am in a residential area where I built my production, but you just got to look in the zoning regulation. But in the community garden, it says it can go in any zoning if you read the application. So
What's the ground area that your garden takes up?
the space.
The system, yeah.
Well, I have 4 systems running right now. The size of my greenhouse is 13 wide by 33 long. So that takes up that much grow space.
They're all inside that greenhouse.
Yes, they're all inside my greenhouse. And I do it in my backyard. It's pretty spaced out from all property lines too. So, no, yes.
So what is your business exactly? You design systems for other people, or?
I do design systems for other people. There's a couple things I do. The Aquaponics Cafe goal is to supply for a cafe. I want us to be able to supply fresh organic food for a cafe. I also design systems for people if they want their own food production in their backyard. I can build a system that can supply for well over a full family. I also build smaller systems for more household. This is a 10-gallon tank. I engineered an aquaponic system that it holds 8 plants. It's good for if you put it in your kitchen, you can grow herbs. You just got to put it by some kind of light, sunlight, or you can use artificial lighting. I literally just fill it up, put fish in there, let it run, and put some plants in it, plug it in, and I don't have to touch the thing. And I've been running those for a little while, and they're pretty successful, just as far as a smaller scale. I do put smaller tilapia, but tilapia will get full grown in 6 to 8 months. You'll have a full grown fish. So with tilapia, you can put them in there, but then only 1 or 2 will fit, and then they might get too large for it. But goldfish would be more ideal. And you want a fish that's pretty high in ammonia production, and tilapia is a good one. Goldfish are good ones, and there's a couple of fish that don't do such a good job, but you can still use them. Any freshwater fish, essentially, you can use. Another thing you can use in aquaponics, if you will get some buildup of fish waste, so any kind of algae eater or snail is great to add to the environment, and it also helps balance the ecosystem. So just like anytime you make the environment more natural, the better.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it is incredible.
I would love to hear that. Yeah. No, we shouldn't.
Now the systems these ones I sell a whole system with fish, duckweed, the netted pots, 8 plants. It could be seeds or live plants, full-grown plants that you can pick from my garden if you like. But I sell them for $199. Complete setups.
When you started doing the gardening, is there a source that you used as a book?
For what?
Was there a book or a source?
I do a lot of research. I kind of understood the concept because I did saltwater tanks for many years. As far as how the tank goes into the beds and goes back, it works just like a saltwater tank. You can't use salt water, but the concept is the same. I read books and I researched on the internet, joined forums. So I did just start this in March, so I'm actually pretty new at it too. But I've been doing tons of hands-on experience, tons of research, and from my experience, pretty successful so far, and it's been growing really, really good.
Yeah. And the greenhouse, are you doing any environmental control on that? Do you have fans or
Yes.
heating or?
When it gets cold, it's pretty awesome because I can just drop the doors down and it gets about 20 degrees warmer in the greenhouse. So the winter was pretty easy. I don't have to cover every plant bed like everyone else has been doing. I just drop my doors and it stays warm in there. The summer, the tarp, it diffuses light. It's a new greenhouse technology I use. It diffuses the light a lot, and in the summer it gets very hot. So I actually cut the bottom, and I'm going to be rolling the sides up, and I do have fans. The video's ready? Awesome. All right. Play it. So this greenhouse is kind of a vision I had. I didn't really make plans. I kind of had the vision in my head and started building. Outside the greenhouse, we have big trees, coffee trees, raspberry and blueberry bushes planted, more farms. And here's the new system. I use recycled things. Someone was throwing away a bathtub. So bathtubs are huge grow beds. I can plant really deep-rooted vegetables like potatoes, carrots, radishes work really well in bathtubs. Tomatoes growing. And you see the growth there? You see how small it is? And you can see the yellow tips of the plants because they're actually malnutritious. They weren't getting enough. I was just started it. It takes 6 to 8 months to get fully established.
Strawberries. Ladybugs.
I use ladybugs as a natural means of organic pesticides. They eat tons of bugs, the bad ones. And they stay in the greenhouse, which is kind of cool. They can harvest in there.
That's fish food.
These are the new seeds. All seeds I do are certified organic, non-GMO heirloom seeds. Peppers, I just put those in. Those started blooming earlier this week. You can see the pictures I showed you. They're monster growth now compared to what I just started. It just really took off. Then here's the new tomato blossoms. Those are touching the ceiling now. The tomatoes are all the way to the ceiling. This is blue tilapia in this fish tank. I use screens to hold them in place. They like to jump. So I hold them in with screens.
These are mostly red or blue.
Happy fish. Happy fish, happy plants.
Those are working. And if you look at this spot, this will drain it. And then we have corn.
So I haven't had less success growing things. I've had a lot of success growing a lot of things. So I haven't had a lot of failures.
Carrots. Okra tree. Or not tree, but okra bush. You can see all the okra growing. And flowers everywhere. There's also ladybugs everywhere. And cabbage. We got like a vine spinach here. Basil, Thai basil seed here. With ladybugs on them. Asparagus patch. Broccoli.
That's all blooming now. All the broccolis. This is the time of year for broccoli, I guess, because they all bloom.
We have eggplants growing here.
Eggplants too. They've been coming.
Two big eggplants. Some strawberries. We got tomatoes growing just everywhere. Radishes, more tomato. There's a nice pepper. I think that is habanero.
That was a cloning. I cloned that one.
That was a clipping.
The plant I cloned it actually died, and that one actually came back even better than the original.
There's some sugar peas. There's some kind of peas. It's actually a tobacco leaf with ladybugs on it. Some more peppers, some more tomatoes, some more basil. This is where I do a lot of the seeding. Start seedlings. You can see this pepper growing pretty rapidly. There we go. And that is the update on the greenhouse.
What did you use as a tank fishing?
They're called IBC totes. They're like I got them from Snapple companies. They hold liquid. It's like a steel frame with in it is like they're about, I have them up to 300 gallons. One I think is 325 gallons. They come in all different sizes, but there's a certain way I use them for fish tanks. But you can get, I've also made, you cut the top and you can get a bed out of it too.
What kind of material is your tarp? And how long does it last?
It's called solar ice. It's like it's a type of plastic tarp. It just came out in the greenhouse world, but it lasts 3 to 6 years. About it's going to start to get faded and dirty, but it'll last about 3 to 6 years after replace it. Doesn't really crack. It's 6 millimeters, but it doesn't crack. It's pretty strong. It's really strong. The way I designed the greenhouse, it actually doesn't look as strong as it is, but it's actually pretty strong. It's really strong. When I put the tarp on it, the PVC goes together even more, and when you tie the tarp down, the structure gets really, really strong. And then I strung some ropes to kind of hold it in place. So it has already lasted through 60 plus mile per hour winds. We got a small tropical storm and we did fine. Didn't have a problem. What's that? Insure it? Haven't looked into that, but I mean, it's not really. I actually did it pretty cheaply, so if something breaks, I can just go back, repair it, and it's good to go. The tarp isn't too expensive. I think to cover that greenhouse, I ordered way too much. I actually did enough to do the whole greenhouse, the whole floor too. I did the floor, stapled it up on the sides, and put rocks down. I had extra, and I paid like $230-ish for the tarp. So I ordered way too much. Yeah, yep. Just out of my head, I kind of thought about it and didn't really design it. I just put it together as I went along. No, there's fans. I got many fans. You want fans.
How close does a setup like that come to paying for itself, or could you get to the point of being self-sufficient in terms of food if you needed to?
Yeah, as soon as it's built, you're going to start getting a return almost immediately. I've been returning on mine ever since I built it, and it's been. You saw the harvest I get. It's just tubs or coolers full of produce. I haven't been there yet, but I've been to the Founders Corners Market.
Use a liner or anything?
Liner for the tanks? For my beds, I do. Yeah, I do liner. I use pond liner.
Where do you use the fish from?
The fish, I have a few different sources. I have a buddy that's really big into aquaponics. He breeds them. And he breeds what's called super males, which is better in the commercially type environment, because when they breed a predominantly male offspring. And when you breed males grow much quicker and get fatter.
So if somebody here wants to order fish for their system, who should they contact?
You can contact me. I got tons. I actually just started a few breeding tanks too. But I do have some other connections for fish too. There is an organic tilapia farm up in Sarasota. But I like doing all organic type methods. So when I buy fish, I try to get quality. I don't like when people put hormones or chemicals in them.
So if you don't have soil, what's the purpose of having good worms? What do you use?
The worms I put in my grow beds. When you start getting grow beds, it'll start building up waste, and the worms actually help break it down. And and in return add more nutrition for plants. Their castings, which is their poop, is highly nutritious for plants. And that makes them disease resistant, all kinds of things.
They love it in there.
Yeah.
What do you do about the fluoride in the water?
I use reverse osmosis. I try to get rid of as much as I can, but I also am starting to collect rainwater.
On the worm castings, if they get dried out, do they lose a lot of does it all die?
It's hard to say. I would say if that's a form of processing, so I would say yes, to some degree there's got to be some nutritional loss to that, but I don't know for sure. But usually it's somewhat moist when you get it.
Well, I have some that I didn't use, and they're all dry.
Yeah.
So I wondered about it.
Don't know.
Try it.
Yeah.
Your floating rafts, what material do you use?
Floating raft. I don't do much floating rafts. It's a good method to use, but I forget the material my buddy uses for that. But I don't mess with floating rafts too much. I like the concept of the media because I can build the beds to fill up and then completely flood out. And that's how I designed all my systems. Besides the ones like this, which is it just goes in and goes out. Yes.
What supplements do you have in your system?
I add a couple of things when I see. I use some of my worm. My worm farms create like a liquid tea. Sometimes I'll add that to it. I also will add chelated iron if I need it. There's some rock minerals you can add. You can just add any kind of nutrition you can put in there that's safe for the fish that won't kill the environment. But when I put it in there, I usually put it in right before the plants. It goes into the plant beds because my one tube system that I designed, if I put it in first, it goes through a whole lot of filtration before it goes back to the fish tank. So usually the plants will absorb it up and make it pretty clean before it gets to the fish tank.
Fully operational with your design, and how much does it produce, and what's the price tag of your overall setup?
I have 4 working systems. They're all functional. They're all producing, except one which I just completed yesterday. As far as connecting it, I finally got it running. But the 4 systems together, I did have a donation, so that was very helpful. They donated double the amount of grow space I just had. But I've probably spent a good $15,000 in my operation. As far as building it, I had to rent like lifts to cut trees to get a little more sunlight. I had to level ground, and I had to do a lot of work. There's a lot of work involved in my operation. But the system, the production is pretty high. It's like I said, my one tube system can plant 200 plants and hold about 300 full-grown fish.
They also produce that twice the speed of growth.
Yeah, your speed of growth and your yields are more.
8, 10 months grows to the best. Yeah, 4 or 5 months.
Ridiculously quick.
Yep.
Plants aren't
And I almost recycle plants too. I can clip them and then they grow back. I can also, like celery at the store, I have one in my system that I cut and I just stuck the stalk right in, and it already grew another stalk. I stuck it in these systems. These systems are really, really good, really functional. Just like this, they look just like this exactly. The roots will come down and go right into the system in the water. You don't need the clay, but I use them to help support larger plants. You can use rock wool, which is pretty cool because if you build a system like this and put rock wool in it, you can actually put the seeds right in it as well and sprout right from the system. Yes?
I wanted to ask which substrate you use, and then also if you are currently selling to any restaurants or whatever right now.
I've been like donating a lot of my food to some of my friends that started organic cafes. I've been giving them some food, neighbors and stuff. But yeah, I've been starting to. I definitely have the production to start getting higher numbers in food. So you want to know the substrate, like the media?
Do you only use the clay?
The clay is very expensive, so if there's an alternative to the clay, I would use it. For a system like this, where I use the 2-inch and 4-inch cups. The rock wool is a much cheaper alternative. It's just like a little green wool type material, and it's like $10 for a sheet of 100 sprouts.
Is that all you use at your place?
Yeah, I bought clay by a pallet, so I got it much cheaper. But the pallet I bought was $2,000 plus, just for the clay, and I used it all. I definitely used it all.
So on this system you're showing here, what are you using? Just like an air pump or a little water pump?
No, I don't need an air pump at all. This isn't running. I wish I had it running for you guys, but when it's plugged in, the water's going through, and actually the plants give oxygen to their back in return. But when it comes out, it produces a huge amount of bubbles and air. So just plugging this in, that's all you would need. This is the filter, and it adds tons of oxygen in the water. Pump. I got a little pump right here. It's like 2 to 4 watts or something like that. Very low. It doesn't cost like any electric. They can get full grown, huge. We have one growing on this porch that's, the plant is literally like touching the light above it. It's way up there.
For your larger systems, do you use an air pump?
Yes. I use them in, there's different methods you use, but I drop more oxygen in the fish tank. The idea is to keep the fish alive. In this one, the oxygen's already going in the fish tank, so I don't have to add it. But in my systems, I separate everything. So I use commercial sized bubblers and big air stones, like 8-inch, 10-inch discs.
Tried using Venturi's?
Tried using what?
Venturi's?
What's that?
Okay. It's, you put it in your pipe, where it comes in here from the fish tanks going into the tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it sucks air into the pipe, oxygenating the water. So it's nice. And
Yeah, that's good. I haven't tried that yet.
Any other questions? Okay, Jan is here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're going to definitely be here so you can ask more questions after. How about now? Ah, okay, great. Okay, they're both going to stay around so you can ask any more questions afterwards. Do we have any questions for Jan? Recycling.
Are we getting recycling? Well, what I understand, now that the city is taking out Kelly County, but what I read in the newspaper, it did pass city council that they're looking for universal recycling for single-family residents. And then if it's, you know, multi-family business, you're going to have to arrange for it through a private hauler or maybe work with the city. But for right now, they're aiming to put it out in about 7 months for single-family residents. The cost is going to be $3 a household per month. They're looking to see if they can get some funding elsewhere to help with that cost. Composting is on our green list. We certainly realize that, we want to see it happen because it will help the recycling rates. And, so we're looking into it, and whether it's going to happen on a citywide basis or if it's going to have to do it. It's in the future, but it's certainly being talked about by a lot of people.
Okay, anyone else? Did I lose my microphone again? Oh well. Greg is here this evening from Seminole Recycling. He wants to make a small announcement.
My name's Greg Quinamura, and we have a not just for Seminole residents, but for anybody in the county who wants to come. The Seminole discussion group on recycling and sustainability, and this was started by Mary Hampton some years ago, and we keep it going. And we meet on the first Monday of each month at the library, the Seminole Library, which is actually shared with the NT College in Seminole. And first Monday of each month, we have great speakers, like apparently you guys do here too as well. Our next meeting is going to be on March 3rd. We're going to have folks from the Floridian Tampa Bay Estuary program there. And we'll have lots of other good folks coming too. So check us out. We're on Facebook at the Seminole Discussion Group on Recycling and Sustainability. There's some flyers out in the back of the corner. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, Jan will have flyers out there, so you can help yourself to that. They're going to stay to answer more questions. Those of you who have not been here before might not be aware that I put this recording that we're doing now, this video, I put a link on the website. It goes on, currently it goes onto the Haven of Rest website. We got 2 years worth of videos there. When it goes up, I'll put a link on our Facebook page. You can click, go over, watch this one, and watch any of them in the past 2 years. Okay, we got $46, believe it or not, so somebody's going to get half of that. Draw one ticket for me. And the number is 765 140. 140. I see sad faces. Who's got the winning face? Somebody's got it. 765-140. Yeah, let me check. That's why I was coming over here. There you are. Sally won again. Surely. Thank you. Okay. We have some catalogs here. Let me just count them. We got 9 of them. We're just going to draw 9 tickets and you'll get a catalog. Just run at a time for me.
1 out of 10.
Yeah. 105.